Welcome into this Thursday edition of Big Ten Today, presented by Marco's Pizza. I'm Anthony Herron, and as we mentioned, there are a lot of hoops happening, especially on the men's side of things, with 6 teams from the Big Ten advancing to the Sweet 16. We'll talk about all those things, and also some football on the way as well with the NFL draft looming. But because there is so much basketball to discuss, you know that means we got to have Mike DeCourcy in the house. My guy Mike D is here with us. And Mike, because it's only been one legit weekend of full action, but I feel mildly exhausted. I mean, how are you at this point with all the action that's happening?
Oh, there's not much sleep in March. My friend John Rothstein always says about college basketball people like us that we sleep in May, and I always say, John, I'm sleeping in April. We get done with the Final Four, I'm going to sleep, I promise you. But it's been a blast. This has been a phenomenal Big Ten season so far. One of the things that I've talked about a lot, and I talked about it on the selection show on the night of Selection Sunday, is that you don't define a conference by whether or not it wins the championship. It's about the depth of competition. And you can see it now in the Big Ten. 6 Big Ten teams still remaining. It's been a phenomenal year for the Big Ten. Obviously, each of those 6 teams wants to go ahead and win the next 4 games and take home that trophy and have the glitter coming down and the confetti coming down. But it's the Big Ten basketball season has been phenomenal, and this is affirmation of that.
And they will return to the court tonight. That brings us to today's big story. And perhaps the biggest of all those stories is actually going to take place in the South region, where so many Big Ten teams reside. Illinois, Nebraska, and Iowa all in NCAA tournament action tonight. And the game between the Hawkeyes and the Huskers is the one that so many folks are eagerly anticipating, the rubber match. Let's hear from the coaches.
Whoever you played at this time of year, whether it was Iowa or Florida, you were going to have to be ready and have to be on point if you had a chance to win. You just happen to be playing a familiar foe in the same league. You know, we know them, they know us, and had 2 really highly competitive games against them this year, essentially one-possession games in both of them. Obviously, we've got our game plan. Iowa has theirs, and now it's all about going out and executing and figuring out a way to make adjustments if things aren't going according to plan.
You know, growing up around it, obviously there's, you know, Iowa State and Nebraska are all kind of rivals. Usually you probably, none of us like any of each other. It's kind of how it works. So I don't know that it's going to, you know, excite it anymore. I mean, it's one of those things that when you grow up around it, you understand it, you get it. I probably don't, when you're in it, like when you're playing, you probably don't really pay attention to it, to be perfectly honest. I hate to say that for Iowa and Nebraska fans, but it's irrelevant that they're Nebraska and we're Iowa. In my mind, maybe from an outside perspective, it's a little bit different. But for me, it could be Florida, Clemson, Nebraska. It's irrelevant. It's the next opponent, and they're a really good team.
I think that calm demeanor sounds good, but I'm not necessarily buying it from either coach. Let's take a look at our Marco's Pizza taste of success. The 3rd time these 2 teams will have met this season. Each team won on their home courts during the regular season. Game totaled about 109 points, I think. Yes, exactly 109 points in the Iowa win, and then 159 points in the Nebraska win. I think that goes along the lines of what we expect. The tempo, the offensive explosion potential to really suit either team. Mike DeCourcy with me here. And that to me stands out as sort of the consummate comparison between the 2 games. It was a slugfest in the 50s and Iowa won it. It went beyond that and Nebraska won it. Is it almost that simple just to think about the styles of play?
I think if you look at the 2 teams that most likely Iowa would prefer to play slightly more controlled pace, but they certainly can play faster and won in the 70s against Florida, one of the great teams in the country this year. Nebraska is able to control the pace with their defense. The difficulty of penetrating their defense, the great team style they play. And so you might go a little bit slower because you take a little while to solve that. Then on offense, of course, Nebraska wants to get it and go. They want to be able to play quickly. They love that transition 3 with Price Sanford stepping into it as a trailer. Braden Frager will do that as well. Braden Frager likes to get it on the wing in transition and then attack one-on-one, one-on-two, and try to make a play. So it is a little bit different, but I think it comes down to this. If you look at the two teams and the way they played the first two times, what Nebraska has to do better is late game execution. Not necessarily on the season, but against Iowa in both games, it was really late that Iowa in the first one took control of the victory. But the second time, Nebraska was playing a fairly comfortable game, senior day home, all your seniors are playing well. Last 5 minutes or so, things started to go a little bit haywire. They wind up in overtime, and then they played, because it was basically a 5-minute game, they played great. So I think that late game execution, we saw Iowa's elite late game execution against Florida. Could not have been better. So Nebraska has to watch themselves in that circumstance. Even if it's not super tight late, you know that Iowa's coming to try to do that.
I was talking to Ben McCollum the other day, and I was asking him specifically about the defensive assignment of just trying to control Price Sanford. And, of course, Iowa was able to do it really effectively in that first matchup. The freedom of movement is such a big part of Nebraska's offense. Do you think a part of what we'll watch tonight will come down to sort of how the officials end up officiating, how rough they can get with Sanford?
Well, I think that's certainly a challenge. Absolutely. Price is not a physically powerful guy. He wants to move cleanly. He wants to go through the offense. And if they call it loosely, and usually at this stage of the tournament, they are not going to call it as loosely, because they, just as much as the Hawkeyes and the Huskers want to move on, so do the refs. So if they allow too much physicality, they're going to get graded for that. So I would think that you look at it and you see the possibility of him being able to be more free. But on the opposite side, and I think this is important, is the fact that Cooper Koch, Alvaro Figueres, those two guys are odd matchups for Nebraska. Price is not as physical as those guys, not an elite defender. Burke Buchenagel is more built to defend the baseline and the lane than he is to defend the perimeter. Those guys can maybe get past him a little bit and create something, which I think Figueres had some success at in the second matchup. So that's a challenge as well. That 3-4 matchup on both sides is going to be, I think, decisive in this game.
The dramatic finishes that each team had to advance to the Sweet 16, and the fact that Iowa, first time in the Sweet 16 this century, Nebraska, first time they've been here ever. So much drama dripping from that game. We'll certainly come back around to some of that conversation a bit later. But the Illini, they have what amounts to a true road game tonight, as they are going to be in Houston, facing Houston. And if you're going to face Houston, it'd be a difficult assignment either way. But Brad Underwood doesn't seem as concerned about the rest of us with the venue they're playing in.
You know, I've been asked that before, and I'll be honest, I could care less. And I'm gonna sound really kind of selfish here. I'm an old JUCO ball coach. I drove on 16 passenger vans. I drove from Dodge City, Kansas to Mesa, Arizona for a basketball game, for a tournament in a bus. You had told me back then that I'm getting to coach basketball in the Sweet 16 and play Houston. I would sign up for it. I would crawl to get there. If we want to beat them, no matter where we play them, we'd have to play great. Guess what? We're going to have to do that tomorrow. And I think they're going to have to play well if they want a chance to beat us. And so we've won on the road. We've been pretty successful doing that in the Big Ten. So I don't pay too much attention to it. I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and you know, playing Houston's a challenge enough. It doesn't matter where.
The Illini will be 946 miles from their home venue. Houston will be 2 miles from their home venue. But Illinois has been so good on the road this season. 12-5, their offensive rating 127.7. That is the best in Division I hoops. And when you think about it, the freshman of the year, Mike DeCourcy, in the Big Ten, Keaton Wagler, he hasn't had to have this individually exceptional game to get the Illini to this point. Now, is that because Illinois now looks again like the Illini team we saw during a stretch of the season where they look like a national championship contender, or is it the fact that they faced a couple of double-digit seeds?
Well, I think that he has played exceptionally well. He's averaging double figures in points, around 6 assists. He's been very good. I look at it and say that you need to be a complete team. Now, if Keaton Wagler were to play a team, and I don't think Houston will do this, but that he played a lot of ball screen against and they played a lot of drop coverage and he found his rhythm as he did against Purdue, certainly you could see him go off for 25 or 30 again. He has the ability to do that. First of all, Houston would find a way to press out on that. I don't think that they would allow him to go as much as Purdue did in that game. So I think that you're looking at the idea that they will face a more complete defense, and he has to be a complete playmaker, not necessarily a scorer. As he was in the first two, they did not play great competition in either of those two games. VCU was fine. Obviously, Penn was a fortunate mid-major tournament winner. So it's really more about him finding great options in the offense, and what are those great options?
We showed some of the numbers there, Mike. I mean, the Illini have been really good wherever they've played basketball, home, away, neutral. But it feels like a unique scenario for tonight, though, where Houston is playing a game in Houston with a chance to advance to the Elite Eight and or the Final Four. How much of a factor do you view that as for Illinois taking the court?
Well, first of all, think about the math a little bit, and you can help me here. I was working in Memphis, my first year covering the Final Four there in Charlotte, the first time I ever heard the SEC chant. Florida fans were in the building, Arkansas fans were in the building, and they started to chant SEC. So now we got Iowa fans, we got Nebraska fans, and we got Illinois. You think you can get a little Big Ten chant going and maybe turn those people? Think about it.
How about B1G?
If you are Iowa or
B1G.
Nebraska.
B1G. We'll go with
There
that.
you go. If you're Iowa or Nebraska, you know what you're facing if you get Illinois in the Elite Eight. You don't necessarily know what you're facing if you get Houston, so maybe you prefer the idea of the familiar as opposed to the unfamiliar. So maybe they get on Illinois' side. I know that's kind of a reach, but I had to think about that because I do remember that conference solidarity moment from 1994. And there will be tons of Houston fans there, obviously, but it won't be all their building because there will be Illini fans, there will be Husker fans. We know there are going to be Husker fans, and of course the Hawkeyes travel well as well. So I think that it won't be as huge a home court advantage as the mileage suggests.
Is there something that stands out to you as a particular X factor when comparing these two teams as they get ready to take the court?
Yeah, I think when you look at the two teams, I think the most important thing for Illinois is defending Emmanuel Sharp and Milos Uzan. I think Kingston Flemings is going to play well most of the time, regardless of the opposition and how he's handled. He finds a way. But Emmanuel Sharp had a really difficult stretch run. And he is an essential part of their offense for them to beat elite competition. That's what Houston hasn't done this year. They've done everything else. They've guarded teams. They've gotten the great freshman play out of Kingston Flemings and Chris Sinak, but they haven't been really good against elite competition, and Illinois certainly fits that description. So the Illini have to make sure that Uzan and particularly Sharp do not get comfortable in this game, that they are guarded well, that they're guarded as physically as the officials will allow, and make it hard for them to get open shots. If the Illini can do that, I think they have a great chance to win this game.
Yeah, they've been stellar on offense pretty much all year, but if that Illini defense is at their peak, it's going to be a really difficult night, it feels like, for the Cougars. Either way, we're going to watch it really closely and enjoy. As folks, I'm sure, are enjoying all the commentary from Mike DeCourcy. He's going to stick with me. We'll continue the hoops conversation about the other Big Ten teams that remain, the Spartans, the Wolverines, and the Boilermakers, and also the family affair that we do anticipate being on display for Peyton Sanford. He'll join us in just a short while here on Big Ten Today.